what is up, humans? It's your favorite demon, Raze Silva, and we are taking a small break from VTubing, and we are going to be reacting to some more MeatEater. Looks like Wild Pigs is on the menu today, so let us get into it. Also, video will be in the description. Y'all know the drill. All right.
On this trip, I'm headed to the rolling hillsides of north central California in search of razorback hogs.
See that? The mud kind of stirred up.
Getting some bacon. Also, this is all they do. Like, this doesn't look. I know this is probably like, oh, like that doesn't look so. All hogs just tear everything up.
Something's just been in here.
But you gotta be ready to think on your feet if you're gonna bring home one of these bad boys. I'm Steven Ranella. To me, hunting isn't only about the pursuit of an animal. It's about who we are and what we're made of. It's about sustenance, survival. It's about connecting to the land. It's about the purity of the challenge. It's about life. In each and every one of us, there is a primal instinct to hunt and consume. I live to hunt and hunt to live. I am a meat eater. One of the toughest critters in America.
I've only gotten to hog hunt like a couple of times. You would think I hog hunt all the time, and I probably should, but I mean, I just haven't. Hog hunting for me though is gonna be completely different from this guy. Like if I'm hog hunting, it's not so much hog hunting; it's more of we thinning the herd.
America is the Eurasian wild boar. They've got the tusk
because these buggers do, aside from eating, sleeping, and just making babies, they just tear everything up.
The big razorback, total badasses. I'm in north central California, in the hills just west of the Sacramento River, and I'm here to see if I can get me one of these acorn-fattened wild hogs. A friend of mine has a cattle ranch up here, and as much as I love eating wild pigs, his relationship with the animals is a little more complex.
You see them around here right now, the wild pigs.
Yeah, we fence them out. They get in the barn and root the hay. They could root up a half an acre pretty quick. You know, if you got irrigated ground, that's kind of a nuisance.
What would be the approach out here? Like, what would you do out here to try to find them?
Look for water source.
Yeah, these guys, like, their relationship is probably not as complicated as, like Steve says, because I can tell you right now, they hate these fuckers. These two guys right here, they're like, we hate them. They are the bane of our existence.
And just kind of watch that.
Is first place to go.
Are they pretty flighty? Like they know to steer clear, folks?
They don't see real well, but once they realize you're there, then they take off.
Yeah. So, John, you don't mind? You can show me around a little bit, just kind of give me a sense of where we're at?
Yeah, I can take you around.
That sounds good. I'll sit, and hopefully I'll come back with some pork for y'all. I'm keeping a little bit for me, too.
That'll work.
All right.
That works.
All right, perfect, man.
Little pet peeve of mine, I would not set my rifle in the bed of the truck. I'm not doing it. Maybe like in the back seat, like I'm not putting my rifle in the bed of a truck.
To avoid any confusion, I'm not out here looking for escaped domestic pigs. These pigs are genuine Eurasian wild boars. They're the direct ancestors of the animals that get stalked by Siberian tigers in the forests of Eurasia. These things are smart, elusive, and in tune with the terrain. John shows me the lay of the land and then drops me off to set up camp and start hunting.
For years, there's been an ongoing debate about whether wild hogs are a legitimate big game species or just an invasive pest that needs to be taken care of immediately.
All right, man, thanks for showing me.
I would say a little bit of both. Like I would call them a game species just because, you know, they're essentially pigs. They're just like, that's all they are. Like, it's pork. They are a pest, though. They are 100% a pest. Like, so you do have to kind of like keep an eye on them, and every so often just be like, all right, time to thin y'all out. Which, you know, might make some people go, eh, but at the same time, like, they literally reproduce so quickly that after like in a few months, they'll be back to what they were.
Either way you look at it, and I can see both sides, these pigs are here to stay.
It is a little bewildering to just kind of be like, all right, here we are. Probably the best setup for this really is to hunt it like how I'd hunt, you know, if I was hunting mule deer or something. Keeping in mind these good spots where you see a lot of activity, but just try to cover ground. Stay in high areas where I can glass, watch for movement. So I just had to kind of figure it out on the fly. I'm thinking.
He's got a top loader.
A lot of glassing, a lot of walking.
I will say I'm not a fan of the top loader rifles. I have one. It's okay. But I've also got one that it's a mag that is infinitely just, I like it a lot more personally.
Well, I guess I'll do just that, start hunting. I really don't know where I'm at. I really don't know what I'm doing, like, what I get myself into. But if you can totally cold roll into an area, unguided, and figure it out, it's like a sense of accomplishment that really is unbeatable.
Generally, I want to stick to the high places where I can take my...
If you kind of know anything about hogs, they're not going to be that hard to find, I feel. Personally, you know, but anyone who's watched these up to this point knows that me and Steve have a few differences on a couple of things. This would be just kind of another one, like, and it's not a big deal. But honestly, I feel like if you've been around hogs for at least a little bit of time, you're gonna know where to look, even if you don't really like know the area that well. Like, if you get some kind of like general idea, you're gonna figure it out real quick.
my binoculars and survey a good bit of country, but I also want to look at the ground underneath my feet to find out where these pigs might be coming and going from, what they're using, what they're feeding on.
Hang on.
From what they're using.
Ah! Well, I got the pause anyway. No, it's fine. I didn't mean to actually click off of that. Hog. All day. That's all they do. There was something here, and they destroyed all of that to get to whatever it was that was there.
Using what they're feeding on.
Pigs break up the cow manure, picking pieces out of the cow manure, picking grain out and stuff. There's a pig dropping, full of acorn husks. And these are all oaks on this hill. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep in this high country, staying on this high ridge, looking for water. You almost couldn't ask for a better layout. See, there's a lot of water down here. I'm gonna go down here and look at this water. This has been disturbed. I mean, something's just been in here. This mud's all, see that? Mud kind of stirred up. What I want to do right now is get up high. These trails, a thing you'll notice,
cattle tend to have zigzaggy trails. Pigs will barge straight up hills.
Yeah, they'll go straight. They do not care. They will literally barge through anything and everything. They're not gonna bother going around it. They're going through it.
You don't see like a lot of deer trails and stuff that does this. Like, phew. But these guys just like shoot straight up.
I stupidly followed this trail and didn't really stop and ask myself, what is your plan? How do you see this playing out? I just started walking. And it doesn't even occur to me to slow down and listen and check to see if any pigs might be hanging around.
Okay, I just ran a whole bunch of them out of their bed.
That's a rookie. And I don't know if up to this, I don't know how. I don't know if Steve just hasn't hunted hogs that much before, like, or what the deal is. Because he doesn't really. Steve mostly sticks to like deer are like those in the deer family. He does like and bears and stuff. Like he's got a really big thing for bear. He doesn't really do hogs or wild pigs or anything of that nature that often. So because this was but either way, like this is a really big like rookie mistake.
Again, if I knew the area, I would never let that happen. I just stumbled into it.
Even if you don't know the area, like the trail and everything should have been, that was your sign of, hey, I got pigs. I just got to figure out, personally, I'd have sat there because they'd have come out. If there's food, I promise you, they are hitting that every single day. They're not going to move until there is nothing left to eat.
But 2 busted up and a bunch of them busted down. I have no idea how many. Once you scare them out of their bed, they're not coming back anytime soon. You see like lots of little beds in here. I bet you these are the ones that have been using that water hole.
I keep walking and glassing and walking and glassing. It turns in the evening and I see some deer and I see a lot of cattle, but I don't see any pigs. Spooking these pigs was a bummer. And now I'm feeling scared that I just blew it.
It's like a lesson about being, too aggressive when you're scouting.
And it's just an amateur, dumb move.
Yeah. I mean, it happens sometimes. Sometimes, like, you can get excited and be like, hey, But and I'm not really trying to, like, harp on Steve really too much here. But at the same time, like, that's 100% not something I would have done. Like, but again, I feel like Steve's not very familiar with hogs. I could be just completely wrong, but I don't know.
At first light, I get on a good vantage point with my binoculars where I can watch the area where I kicked all the pigs out the day before to see if I might just get lucky. And I watch it for quite a while and I don't see a thing. So now the only thing to do is to move far away and see if I can get onto another group of pigs.
Because he is right. Like, you spook them out of their bed, like, they're gone. They are out of there.
And I travel about 3 miles to the southeast, walking along the valley floor. Never see a trace of a pig.
It's late morning now, and since I spooked those ones out of their bed, I have not seen a thing. A lot of sign, What I want to do now is just try to stay up as high as I can, move slow. Hopefully I can pick up some pigs, you know, traveling between water and their bedding ground or their feeding ground and their bedding ground. But I just got to put my eyes on some. Oh.
I see a boar just screaming across the valley floor like a spooked coyote. I must have scared him. This pig is literally sprinting away from me.
Oh, I see some more.
At least it tells me that there are pigs in the area.
Just gotta watch where these guys go now.
I see that they're headed up a hillside with a lot of thick cover, and it reminds me of the kind of area where I found the pigs bedded the day before.
I lost them as they started picking their way up in there. Probably headed to their bedding area.
It occurs to me that I'm spooking pigs left and right on this trip. These things are sharp. I need to hunt smarter. I'm gonna let them settle down for a few hours until I go after them again. And I have the perfect way to pass the time until that happens.
The cool thing about California is you're actually allowed to hunt quail with a BB gun. So I can kind of hunt around my camp, not stir everything up too much, get some good lunch.
Earlier, I had noticed a few quail hanging around on a little hilltop. So now I just slip back in there with my air gun, put a little stalk on them, and boom, there's lunch.
Nice.
I go back down to the little old homestead sheep shack where I'm camping, and I realize that this place is like a Home Depot for hobos. Everything you could possibly use to cook and process wild game is just laying around. There's wires, there's clean corrugated metal, there's steel buckets.
Pretty dry here, so I want to do like kind of a safe fire, because I can't be burning my buddy's ranch now.
Yeah, that would be bad.
So I get an oak fire going in the bucket, pluck my quail, grab a piece of baling wire and truss him up, then use that same piece of baling wire to suspend him over the oak. And within about 5 minutes, I realize I've invented a whole new way of gourmet camp cooking.
People pay good money to eat quail out of restaurants.
This is a great way to cook game.
I'm gonna start carrying a metal 5-gallon bucket with me into the mountains. Look at that juicy quail.
And within about 20 minutes, the quail is done just right.
Bucket roasted quail. Look at how nicely done that is.
This is just something to get me initiated on the land.
I always like to eat something from where I'm hunting, because I have this belief that it brings good luck. I didn't put any salt or anything on here. I'm just going total caveman.
I'm feeling at one with the place. And now,
You might be onto something on that one. I'm not gonna lie. Like, that's actually... He might be onto that. I don't know.
I have to get out and go after my boar.
Also, anyone who's, you know, hunted anything, we've all gone caveman at some point. Like, shit. I've had moments where literally I'll get like a deer or something and be like, you know what? It's close enough to lunchtime. And I'll sit there, I'll cut a piece of that deer off, and then that'll be lunch. Or dinner, depending on, you know, when the hunt was.
Yesterday, when I busted all those pigs out of that bedding area, I kind of learned a basic idea of how they use their spot And I was surprised at how close I was able to get to them in their bed before they busted out. Deer, elk, they would have been on you when you were still hundreds of yards out. But these pigs, they just don't see far. They got a good nose, but they can't see. So as I go to approach this area where I think this boar is bedded, I just take it real slow, keep the wind in my face, and I keep my nose open.
Wind's coming up like this, I can like smell. I don't know if it's old or new, but I can smell stuff.
Yeah,
I can
hogs
just
reek.
tell they've been in there. And I got a feeling they're in there now. All of a sudden,
Getting him out of there is gonna be I would not want to climb in all that.
A good hit on this one down here. Wow. I think I got a good hit on that. I want to check for blood down here, make sure I did get a hit. Look at this bedding area they were in. That one I shot, I think, was right up in here. Came through here. Oh, there's a little bit of blood. Oh, there's more blood. Oh, there's a lot of blood. Can't believe this pig's still moving. Oh, there it is.
So where I hunt, there's actually an old like Civil War cemetery, really up in there. And my uncle and cousin were actually hunting, and they shot this big massive boar. Like my cousin hit it and my uncle hit it. They both hit it with their rifles, and it took off. And like, I think they hit it in, they got it in the heart and the lung, and then in the head also, and it just ran. And from where they were to the cemetery is, I want to say, a good like 1.5, 2 miles that this thing ran. And at that point, my uncle just kind of looked at my cousin and was just like, we're gonna leave that, because anything that can take all of that and keep going, that's got way too much anger in it.
there's nothing barnyard about this pig.
Look at these things.
This pig is a pig of the woods.
That is a wild pig.
Dark color, big old razorback on him, coated in briars.
This boy is gonna be good eating, man, because these things been feeding on these acorns. Oh man, he's got big old hog jowls too. Look at that guy. Loving it. I mean, I know you're supposed to hate him, but you gotta kind of love him. I mean, the fact you can come out and get like this much pork with your own rifle.
Oh yeah, it's some good shit, but like, I still hate them.
Make your own bacon, make your own hams, pork.
Now the bacon thing only works if they've got enough fat on them, which, depending on where you're at, like where I'm at, for where the hogs that are where I'm at, almost never have fat on them. Like they're big, like anywhere from 300 to 500 pounds of just pork, but they're all lean. And they almost never have hardly any fat on them. So bacon's kind of out of the question. Now there have been a few years where like we've had a few freaks that have had like just an absurd amount of fat on them, and so we 100% had bacon.
Pork loin, just like, come on. I mean, whatever your opinion on them is, whether you think they're good or bad, if these aren't American, then we're not American. They've been here as long as us. We brought them. And they're a challenging hunt, you know? These guys aren't fooling. I mean, these guys know how to play the game. I mean, they're playing it all the time. They bed just like an elk, where they got an upwind draft coming to them in a spot where they can look out and see a lot of activity. When something happens, they just move.
Now, I will say, I would not be skinning the sucker like he is. Looks like he might have taken it out already, but male hogs, it can't just go straight up and down with them, because you'll hit their urine sac, and you'll ruin a lot of meat if you do that. So you actually have to go down, and I think it's like right in here. You have to actually go around.
When something happens, they just move. I mean, they have really fit into the landscape. It's a challenging pursuit. Instead of taking this guy apart here and breaking it down into primal cuts, I'm gonna rig up a dragon harness and drag him out down through this gully, all the way out to the valley, and then drag him back to camp. Because at that sheep shack, there's a pretty nice buck pole up there. It's not what it was meant to be, but it'll work as a buck pole. And I'll be able to hang him up, and then I can skin him whole and keep his meat real nice and clean, and also keep him in large pieces for, you know, doing big roasts. That should work good.
It's a hell of a workout, because that's easily, that's a good like 150, 200 pounds. Probably, most likely, at least you know, at a small glance of it anyway. Might not be 200. It might be closer to like. It's got some weight on it though. This is the part nobody likes to do. I don't care who you are. This, like, nobody likes this part. But you do it anyway. So one thing I actually like to do, is, this is how literally everybody does it. Everybody kind of hangs it up from the back legs and then just kind of goes down. I do it backwards. I actually hang them from the front legs so that they're hanging down, so that once I get the, like, all the insides freed up, I don't have to sit up there and dig into him.
That's nice white meat too. Good stuff.
You start cutting into a pig and you see right off the bat what it means when people say white meat. This is a far cry from mahogany-colored venison. And this guy's gonna be a good eater. He's just the right size. Not too big, not too small.
Pulling this loin off, I think what I'm gonna do is just wrap this guy in foil and put it right on the fire.
My favorite cut of domestic pork is pork loin, and I know this wild boar loin is gonna be just as good.
Right there, look at that. Anybody who's used to the color of deer meat can see that that's something different.
Oh yeah.
I cannot wait to get into that.
Wild pigs are lean. Unlike domestic pigs that spend all day lolling around and eating grain, this boar right here runs for a living, and he plays a constant game of survival against mountain lions, coyotes, and other predators.
So that's a lot leaner than a
Coyote's not gonna mess with the boar. They're just not.
Ham off domestic pork, but still that good white meat. These hams and the rest of the hog are getting split between me and my buddy for letting me hunt his ranch. But for now, I'm gonna start cooking up this pork loin. I want to keep cooking hobo style. And as good as that bucket worked, I'm gonna try something different. This piece of sheet metal catches my eye, and I decided to build a makeshift oven.
What I'm gonna do is just put some seasoning on it, put some vegetables with it, wrap this guy in foil, and just lay that foil package right on the coals. I just want to throw a little heat back down at that meat. Oh, that's nice and hot there now. Okay, I'm gonna check this. Moment of truth.
Oh yeah.
That's good pork loin, man. Oh, it's good.
Let's see. I bet that's just good.
That's so damn good. I'm a believer, especially with apples and onions. What's up, fellas? These cows know it's dinner time. They're fired up. These cows like the smell of cooking apples and onions and pork. You know, seeing those cows and eating wild pig makes me kind of reconsider the whole debate around wild pigs. I've been all around agricultural lands and ranch lands and stuff my whole life. And there's no way wild pigs impact the landscape as much as domestic cows. I mean, look at this place. The grass is cropped, covered in manure. You can put fences up to hold them in, water holes for them. You put roads in to take care of cattle. You know, we don't need to get rid of cows because of that. Really makes me think a lot about what belongs on the landscape, like what is natural and what's unnatural. And I have my suspicion that these pigs have become natural on the landscape. These guys, time will tell. Maybe they'll go feral someday and we'll be out here hunting feral cattle, which wouldn't be a bad way to spend a weekend.
For all the uncertainty there is about whether these pigs belong on the land, I'm sure about this. I had a great hunt, I'm thankful for this animal, and I'm happy to know I can come back to this ranch one day and hunt pigs again.
All right. I mean, I guess. I mean, honestly, everywhere that I know of, you know, where there's any kind of like farmers or anything, cows, no problem. Hogs, they gotta go. Like that's all I've ever really seen. Because there's a lot of like ranches and stuff like up where I hunt, and they're constantly, hell, even the land that I hunt, like hogs are just they constantly are destroying everything. They'll knock over feeders, they'll knock over blinds if they can. Like and then they'll uproot everything. Like if it's not nailed down, it's going down. You know. Anyway, this was a much more fun episode, I think. At least for me, because I got to talk a whole lot more, which is a rarity. I know. I need to talk more. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe. Original video will be in the description, as always. And I will catch y'all in the next one. All right? Peace!